Tracy Hunter was the first elected African-American juvenile court judge in Hamilton County, was accused of using her influence to help her youth corrections officer brother, Stephen, after he allegedly struck a young offender on the job on July 7, 2013. The incident led to the officer's boss recommending his termination. Hunter was dragged out of the courtroom with an outburst by her followers in the crowd shouting and screaming. Hunter only served 11 months out the 6 months she was sentenced to. The expression on her face when she is dragged by her arms by the bailiff is priceless. It seems satisfying to see a judge in this situation when it's usually the other way around.
What are we doing here, Mr. Singleton?
I'm sorry, Judge.
I gave her an opportunity to speak, and that was turned down. It's not being offered now. Please have a seat.
So you're denying my right as a defendant to address the court?
Ma'am, please have a seat.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So the record should reflect again, you were offered an opportunity to speak, and you turned that down. Please, everybody's been great. I appreciate that. It is a court of law. Thank you for that. And, as you all heard, she was offered an opportunity and turned that down. So, with that, in this case, I believe the law permits the execution of the sentence, and I believe, I know justice gets thrown around a lot, but I think justice demands in this particular case. So the court, Ms. Hunter, orders the execution of the sentence imposed on December 5th, 2014 by Judge Nadel. That is as follows. 1 year community control, that's non-reporting. Since you will be on community control, I will advise you, as I'm required to by law, that if you violate any of the conditions of the community control, come back in front of me. I will sentence you to 18 months, the Ohio Department of Corrections. It is a felony of the 4th degree. The conditions of the community control are real simple, as indicated in the judgment entry by Judge Nadel. Number 1, you pay the cost of these proceedings. Number 2, you are to do not violate any laws. Number 3, you are to do 6 months in the Hamilton County Justice Center, credit 1 day. Mr. or Ms. Deputies can take her away.
Clifford Daniel Thomas babysat 3-year-old Jamillia Gordon while the child's mother, Jasmine Gordon, was working. The infant later was killed in what was labeled a homicide through blunt force trauma. In court, Thomas was waiting for instructions from the judge when the father of the victim, Dwayne Smith, lunged over the table and punched Thomas in the side of the head, inciting a brawl in the courtroom. After watching this, I must say this is one of the worst blindside attacks by a plaintiff's family that I've ever seen. This was totally unexpected, and you can identify with the father of the little girl here. He could not control his emotions here, and I don't know if I would have been able to either. This guy was a serial rapist that did not like what he was hearing from the judge in court. After a few minutes, he decides to start throwing the computers and court documents from the counsel's table. At that point, he tips over the table and is tackled by the bailiffs.
She doesn't know that I did that to that woman.
Please take the jury as a prisoner of court. Okay. That door will be open. I need. Take your badge to go. I can't open that door. I need a deputy.
This man was totally out of control here and unwilling to do the time he was eventually sentenced to. The judge's expression here tells it all. You can see that the judge was terrified here and leaves the courtroom in a panic when the defendant was restrained. You really never know what goes on in the minds of these rapists. They're all scumbags anyway.
Okay. Yeah, the court will be in recess for about 10 minutes. So everybody can get composed. You okay, Mr. Cardell? Mr. Vick, Mr. okay? Everybody calm down. We'll take a 10-minute recess to get everything in order.
Dale Williams was scheduled to be sentenced in Ohio for the 2017 shooting of his ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth Pledger Stewart. Williams confessed that he waited over 45 minutes for Pledger Stewart to drive by him on her way to work so he could run her off the road and shoot her. When the family members approached the judge to give their impact statements, they lunged at Williams, throwing wild punches and kicks to his head. Eventually the family members were restrained by the bailiffs. One person had to be tased to get him under control. This clip was really wild, and for a person to have to be tased in court is really a rare sight. Thomas Michael T. J. Lane III was 17 years old when he shot 6 former students at Chardon High School in Chardon, Ohio. Lane killed 3 and injured 3 more with a Ruger Mk3 target .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun. Lane had a personal rivalry with the 3 victims that were killed, one of whom was dating Lane's former girlfriend. The courtroom outburst by Lane here was repulsive. You can hear Lane state to the victims' parents, "This hand that murdered your sons now masturbates to their memory." This shows that Lane had no remorse for his actions. T.J. Lane was truly a douchebag.
All rise. The Geauga County Court of Common Pleas is now in session. The Honorable David L. Fury presiding.
Please be seated.
This is the case of the State of Ohio against Thomas M. Lane, case 12C58. Here this morning, on behalf of the State of Ohio, is Prosecutor James Flays. Mr. Flays, could you please introduce your table?
Thank you, Your Honor. To my left is Nicholas Burling, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor, Mark Bartolotta, Geauga County Assistant Prosecutor, and from the Lake County Prosecutor's Office, Karen Colwell.
Thank you, and you can make it from where you sit. What? You can make it seated where you are, if you would. One moment. Take your time.
Saying to pull the trigger to kill your son, you know, masturbates to memory of you.
All right. Please, that's all your client has to say, Mr. Friedman.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have a seat, please. Mr. Martin.
John Gotti, flamboyant boss of the nation's largest mafia family, was acquitted of having operated a racketeering ring for 18 years, ending a 7-month trial in a stunning defeat for the government. Gotti was the boss of the Gambino mafia family in 1987.
Mr. Foreman, has the jury agreed upon a verdict as to each defendant?
Yes, we have.
Please rise. As to the defendant, John Gotti. As to the defendant, John Gotti, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty of the first count of the indictment, charging him with the crime of conspiracy in the 4th degree?
We find him not guilty.
With respect to the charge of conspiracy in the 5th degree, how say you with respect to defendant John Gotti, guilty or not guilty?
We find him not guilty.
Supporters of the accused mobsters shouted enthusiastically as jurors filed from the courtroom. Judge Eugene Nickerson ordered the crowd to keep quiet, however the cheers for the monster overtook the judge's voice. There was an interesting event since the jury had been bribed by Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano in order to obtain an acquittal for Gotti.
If you folks say anything else, you will not leave the building for the next 30 days. And if you think I'm kidding, I invite you to try it. If you folks can be calm, we will continue with this. If you can't be, we'll interrupt the proceedings. Please continue. As to the second count of the indictment, charging the defendant John Gotti with the crime of assault in the 1st degree, do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
We find the defendant not guilty.
And Mr. Terry.
Van Terry's daughter was murdered by Ohio serial killer Michael Madison. When Madison was being sentenced, Terry walked to the podium to give his victim impact statement. Van Terry had glanced over at Madison, and he smiled at Van Terry.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, Your Honor? My name is Van Terry. Father Shirley Terry. Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this clown. He's touched our families, taken my child.
Thank you, Mayor.
Terry could not hold back his emotions and leapt over the defense table to get a hold of Madison. This outburst was a high-profile case since Madison had murdered 3 others before Terry's daughter and hid their bodies around his neighborhood in Ohio. I really think that if I were in that same situation, I would not have held my composure either. This one was really tragic to watch and witness.
Justin, that was me hitting the panic button.
Do we need to clear the floor or what?
I think we're good. I think we're good, but it's up to you, Justin. You decide which thing's appropriate. Red, let me know, first of all, if the defendant is all right. And number 2, if he's able to come back out at some point this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would a distraught father have a chance to say something?
Go ahead, sir. If,
You, son of
no, we don't want to swear. We don't want to have profanity. I can't imagine the anger.
Randall Margraves, the enraged father of 3 daughters who were sexually abused by Larry Nassar, lunged at the former USA Gymnastics national team doctor and tried to attack him during a sentencing hearing in a Michigan courtroom. This clip was disturbing to watch as the father of the 3 sexual assaulted girls ran at Nassar to get at him.
And the anxiety and the feeling of wanting retribution. And if you need to say something to help you, I'm more than willing to let you say something. But in a courtroom, we don't use profanity. But if you have some words that you would like to say, I would like to give you the opportunity to say them.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
Would
a feeling.
you do that?
That is not how
Yes
our.
or
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me
that.
1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system.
Well, I'm gonna have to. I want that son of a bitch. Give me 1 minute without pastor.
The father could not control his emotions, and I think he would have killed Nassar if he could have gotten to him. Larry Nassar molested more than 265 women. It is considered the largest sexual abuse scandal in sports history. This guy was a real sleazebag.
One minute.
Relax, sir.
Relax.
Take it easy, buddy.
Just relax. Okay, now we're gonna kind of let up, okay? You have to let up too, okay? All right, let's sit up, get on your side. And sit up.
Where is it? 1, 2, 3, up. What if this happened to you guys?
Not behave like that. No one can behave like this. I'm gonna make sure it's crystal
You haven't lived through it, lady.
You cannot behave like this. This is letting him have this power over us, okay? She will come out and tell you this. I don't want to see another parent get arrested or put handcuffs on or a victim. We cannot behave like this. I understand Mr. Margrave's frustration, but you cannot do this. This is not helping your children. This is not helping your community. This is not helping us. This is not helping the police department. Use your words, use your experiences to get him and to change. Do not use physical violence.
There's some tape over back here. We want to put it like that. That's right.
For creating and facilitating people like Jeremy, and then we, the community, have to deal with them. In my case, the white supremacists got special treatment from the police officers.
Demetria Hester survived a verbal and physical assault by white supremacist and murderer Jeremy Joseph Christian on the 25th of May 2017, while waiting for the light rail train in Portland. Hester claims police did not take her seriously when they responded to the incident.
Believed the assault was made by the assailant. He didn't believe me or the two TriMet supervisors. The police captured, not killed, a racist white supremacist known to the police. Holding the bloody knife, he attacked and killed people with while drinking wine from his Gatorade bottle. And to Mr. Jeremy Christian, your mom should have swallowed you. You are a waste of breath. And when you die and go to hell, I hope you rot.
See you there, bitch.
No, hey.
Go back to Tennessee, too.
What do I tell you?
Go back to Tennessee, too.
The next day, Christian fatally stabbed 2 men and injured a third on a different train in what is known as the 2017 Portland train attack. Hester testified against Christian at his trial. Jeremy Christian is one of the worst racist I've ever seen, excluding the Ku Klux Klan Grand Cyclops. Hester was very lucky she was not killed by Christian on that day prior to his 2 other murders. It was clearly racially motivated, and Christian should be locked away like a sick animal for what he did. When you watch this video, it's clear Christian's mental health is in question as well here.
No, what do I tell you?
Go back to Tennessee, too.
You can
We don't want you here. All your race bait bullshit. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You ain't gonna be mayor either, bitch. You fucking hoe. You fucking hoe. You fucking up my whole city. George Floyd. George Floyd. I should have killed you, bitch. I should have killed you, bitch. Everybody knows you're alive. Everybody knows you're alive, huh? Rules for me, bitch.
Order in the court. He's gone.
That's the fucking.
A lot of strength. Thank you all. God bless America. Excuse me.
The sister of one of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer's victims said she screamed obscenities and charged at him during his sentencing so he could see what out of control is. Dahmer was a cannibal serial killer in Milwaukee during the 80s and 90s. When the sister of victim Errol Lindsay, Rita Bull, approached the podium to give her impact statement, she lost all control of her emotions and lunged toward Dahmer. Mrs. Bull said of the other relatives, "What he saw out of me is what Errol would have done. The only difference is, Errol would have leapt over that table." This clip was intense to witness due to the nature of crime and the way the victim was killed. His hands and genitals were removed and put into a freezer by Dahmer to eat at a later time. This one made my skin crawl.
My name is Rita Isbell, and I'm the oldest sister of Errol Lindsay. Whatever your name is, Satan. I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you, motherfucker. I hate you. This is out of control. Don't fuck with me, Jeffrey. I'll kill you. God damn it. Look at me, motherfucker. I kill you.
What's your name, Pat?
The
court will impose a mandatory life sentence.
That's all for this video, guys. Please leave me a like, comment, or even subscribe to this channel to get up-to-date notifications of future posts. Visit my channel for even more content like this in the future, and thanks very much for watching.